Imagine this. It's a quiet Tuesday evening. The sun has just dipped below the horizon, and the house is filled with the soft hum of the television in the background. You're sitting in your favorite armchair, sipping tea, when suddenly your phone buzzes. It's a text message. You glance at the screen, expecting it to be your daughter or a friend, but what you see sends a chill down your spine. It's from your granddaughter, the one who's been missing for 3 days. The message reads, "Grandma, help! Don't tell mom and dad." Your heart stops. What do you do? Who do you call? And why can't you tell her parents? This is the story of how one text message turned my world upside down and led me down a path I never could have imagined. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm sharing a story that's deeply personal, one that still haunts me to this day. It's a tale of fear, hope, and the lengths we'll go to for the people we love. This isn't just a story about a missing child. It's about the secrets we keep, the bonds that hold us together, and the moments that change us forever. So grab a cup of tea, settle in, and let me take you back to the beginning of it all. I've noticed only 98% of you who watch haven't subscribed. Come on, guys, show some love and support. Thanks a bunch to those who have already subscribed. It all started on a seemingly ordinary weekend. My granddaughter Emily had come over to spend the night. She was 12 years old at the time, bright, curious, and full of energy. We baked cookies, watched her favorite movies, and stayed up late talking about school, her friends, and her dreams for the future. She was at that age where she was starting to figure out who she was, and I loved listening to her stories. She had a way of seeing the world that was so pure, so full of wonder. When her parents picked her up on Sunday afternoon, everything seemed fine. Emily hugged me tightly before she left, promising to visit again soon. Little did I know that would be the last time I'd see her for days. 2 days later, I got a call from my daughter, Sarah. Her voice was trembling as she told me that Emily hadn't come home from school. They'd searched the neighborhood, called her friends, and even reached out to the police, but there was no sign of her. My heart sank. Emily wasn't the type of kid to run away or wander off without telling anyone. Something was wrong. The next 48 hours were a blur. The police launched an investigation, flyers were posted all over town, and the community rallied together to help search for her. But despite everyone's efforts, there was no trace of Emily. It was as if she'd vanished into thin air. Then on the third night, it happened. I was sitting in my living room, exhausted and overwhelmed, when my phone buzzed. I almost didn't check it. I'd been getting countless calls and messages from friends and family offering support. But something made me look, and there it was, a text from Emily's number. "Grandma, help! Don't tell mom and dad." My hands shook as I read the words over and over. Why was she reaching out to me? Why couldn't I tell her parents? And most importantly, where was she? I immediately tried calling her, but the phone went straight to voicemail. I sent a reply begging her to tell me where she was, but there was no response. I was torn. Emily had specifically asked me not to tell her parents, but how could I keep this from them? They were out of their minds with worry, and this could be the breakthrough they needed. At the same time, I couldn't ignore Emily's plea. What if telling her parents put her in even more danger? What if she never reached out again? After what felt like an eternity, I made a decision. I would follow Emily's instructions, for now. I'd try to figure out what was going on and where she was before involving her parents. It was a risk, but I had to trust my instincts. The investigation. The next few hours were a whirlwind of activity. I reached out to a close friend who was a retired detective, hoping he could help me trace the text message. He advised me to keep the conversation going with Emily in case she sent another message. Meanwhile, he worked on tracking the location of her phone. As I waited for updates, I couldn't stop thinking about all the possibilities. Had Emily been kidnapped? Was she hiding from someone? Or was there something else going on that I couldn't even begin to understand? The second message. Late that night, my phone buzzed again. It was another text from Emily. "I'm scared, Grandma. I don't know what to do." My heart broke reading those words. I quickly replied, trying to reassure her and asking her to tell me where she was. But once again, there was no response. The breakthrough. The next morning, my friend called with news. He'd managed to trace the location of Emily's phone to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. It was a place I'd never even heard of, but it was our only lead. I knew I couldn't go there alone, so I decided to call the police. But just as I was about to dial, I hesitated. Emily's words echoed in my mind. Don't tell Mom and Dad. If I involved the police, her parents would find out. Was I making the right choice? In the end, I made the call. I explained the situation to the officer on the phone, emphasizing that Emily had specifically asked me not to tell her parents. They assured me they'd handle the situation discreetly and promised to keep me updated. The rescue. A few hours later, I got the call I'd been praying for. The police had found Emily. She was scared and shaken, but she was alive. They'd also arrested a man who'd been hiding in the warehouse with her. When I arrived at the police station, I was finally able to see Emily. She ran into my arms, crying, and I held her tightly, thanking God she was safe. But as we sat down to talk, the full story began to unfold, and it was more shocking than I could have ever imagined. The truth revealed. Emily explained that she hadn't been kidnapped. The man they'd arrested was someone she'd met online. He'd convinced her to meet him in person, promising her gifts and attention. But once she was with him, he'd become controlling and threatening, telling her that if she tried to leave or tell anyone, he'd hurt her family. Emily had been terrified, but she'd managed to sneak her phone and send me those messages. She'd reached out to me because she knew I'd help her without involving her parents, at least not right away. She was afraid that if her mom and dad found out, they'd confront the man and he'd make good on his threats. The aftermath. The days and weeks that followed were a mix of relief and heartbreak. Emily was safe, but the experience had left her deeply traumatized. Her parents were devastated, blaming themselves for not seeing the signs sooner. And I couldn't help but wonder if I'd made the right choices along the way. But through it all, one thing became clear: the importance of communication. Emily's story is a reminder that we need to talk to our kids about the dangers of the online world, to listen to them when they're scared or confused, and to be there for them no matter what. If this story resonated with you, please take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who might need to hear it. Let's spread awareness and help keep our loved ones safe. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more stories like this one. Your support means the world to me, and it helps keep this community growing. Emily's story is one I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. It's a reminder of how fragile life can be and how quickly things can change. But it's also a testament to the power of love, courage, and hope. No matter how dark things may seem, there's always a way forward. Thank you for listening, and remember, stay safe, stay connected, and never stop fighting for the people you love. Until next time, take care.